Yeah. If you read this, I'm telling you, everything that you've ever heard about harassment and everything at the job is in here. It's in here. And people have taken it and run with it overnight that Joy did this, Joy did that.
Yeah, man, that's bad.
And I'm like, man, at least let it play out. At least wait until they file an answer. And because this is just one person telling the story right now. We don't know anything about anything. I can tell you anything about what happened, make it up, and until the other party responds, I got the floor. So the other party has to defend themselves because I've already thrown it.
Welcome everyone to another episode of No Jazz, NOJASS, which stands for Not Just Another Sports Show. I am your host, KD, and yes, no matter what I do, I'm going to wear my colors. But before we get into me wearing these non-playoff team colors, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Thank everyone for subscribing on YouTube, following us on Facebook. And of course, YouTube is No Jazz Show. Facebook is No Jazz Show. X is also No Jazz Show. We've been picking up a lot in the X or Twitter space, however you want to call it. Our TikTok gang, thank you so much for following us, and make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. And without further ado, of course, my host, co-host, I don't even like to say co, because he's a pro at what he does, man. My inside guy, always with the exclusive, what do I like to call it? Stats, history, all those things he does for the show. A lot of important things that he does that I just like to bring out, for the people, because the things that you get come from him. Those numbers, I got a few numerical things that I tend to do, but unlike my man. So anyway, without further ado, Tank, tell the people hello.
Hey, what's going on, folks? How y'all doing? We got a lot of good stuff for you tonight.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
a lot of stuff getting shaken up.
It's shaking up. That's one thing I do kind of want to share with you all. If you all could see the text messages, throughout when we're going over, the discussions kind of make themselves. They kind of create themselves, because we kind of do, what's trending, and just to keep you all abreast of what's going on in the sports world. Those of you who don't have time to look at every game and analyze every game, but our text messages are quite funny. It's a lot of dry humor, that goes on in it. A lot of little poking fun at one another, but it's all in fun. Having said all of that, we are going to start out with the NFL playoff picture, and the games that were played. No Monday Night Football. Season's over, week 18. Well, 18th week of football, 17th game. And we are finding ourselves with, I'm going to run this list down. I'm going to do the AFC first, Tank, all right?
Yeah. All right.
We have the Chiefs with the number 1 seed.
Again.
Again. Then we have the number 2 seed with the Bills, number 3 seed, the Baltimore Ravens, number 4 seed, Houston Texans. The 5th seed goes to the Chargers. The 6th seed goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 7th seed goes to the Broncos. And It wouldn't be fair if we didn't announce those who will be taking that vacation to Cancun. As you can see, I'm wearing my Scully, but I should have on some Bermuda shorts. But we'll get to that because it's the cold weather season, and it's cold out there for those who are eliminated, which are the Bengals, the Colts, the Dolphins, the Jets, the Jaguars, the Patriots, the Raiders, the Browns, and holding up that end is the Titans, which is an interesting story because they now have the number one pick in the draft. And further along the line, we may discuss who they may be or what they plan on doing with that number one pick in Tennessee. Now, on to the NFL playoff picture. We have the number one seed, Lions. Impressive game last night. We're going to begin with them when I get there. Of course, the Eagles, the Buccaneers went ahead and clinched. And anybody watching those games, you probably were paying attention to the Bucs versus the Saints and Atlanta versus Carolina in a shootout of the young guns. And then on to the fourth seed, we have the Rams. The fifth seed, the Vikings. The sixth seed, the Commanders, with a lucky win against the Cowboys and Trey Lance's first start. And seventh seed, holding up the seventh seed, is the Packers. Were you about to say something, Tank?
I was just laughing when you said lucky win. I mean, been a lot of people lucky, I guess, with the Cowboys. Huh?
You know what? Good luck comes to those who are prepared. And you don't have to prepare much to beat us. Now, eliminated. All right, since we're talking about us, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, the Falcons. A lot of Atlanta fans are a little upset because their Georgia Bulldogs and Falcons are out. The Cardinals, the 49ers. Somebody might not get a payday. The Bears, the Panthers, playing spoiler. The Saints, well, I guess they didn't play spoiler. And of course, holding up the back end, the New York Giants. So, with that being said, we're going to start out with the game that kind of mattered. Probably the only game. Well, I won't say it's the only game that mattered, but it did have seeding.
Yeah. Biggest
implications.
stakes.
And the top seeding implications was the Detroit Lions versus the Minnesota Vikings, which I really thought I would see more from the Vikings. But Detroit, they have kind of gotten used to what they need to do on offense, and they opened that game. I mean, it was close for a bit, and then it just opened up. It opened up. Go ahead, Tank. Tell me what you think about that situation.
Once that dam breaks, you can't stop the flood.
Can't stop.
That's what happened last night. The Lions, they looked good the whole game, but when they started putting the pressure on, it's like they just like a boa constrictor, and then just started squeezing and choked them out.
Until the point where Minnesota kind of just accepted, oh, we're in the playoffs. And I don't even know if they were mashing the gas, but whatever gas they had, they let up off of it.
They blew their foot off of it, so they couldn't mash the gas anymore. Some would say Sam Darnold reverted back to being Sam Darnold, but I think that's too easy. You got to give Glenn and the game plan that he put together for that defense a standing ovation.
Absolutely.
I mean, of all teams to do it against, they decided to go man to man with Addison and with Jefferson. And it worked. I've never seen Jefferson get clamped down like that.
It was almost as if he said, I'm daring Darnold to try to fit it in those windows in man. And the clamps were probably clamps on him as much as it was clamps on Addison and Jefferson. And they're taking nothing away from Jefferson, who can probably hold down any wide receiver formation. He's just that talented, but there was nothing they can do moving around. They followed him around and they did what they needed to do.
Yeah, and they
Excellent
did.
Game plan by Glenn.
Yeah, and they did what Sapp always talks about. Warren Sapp is famous for this. The front end working with the back
The
end.
front end working with the back end.
They harassed Donald all night long. He's already not mobile, and they had him skating. And the hits, oh my goodness, the hits we were seeing last night. I saw a couple of guys get their wig peeled last night. Man, I was glad that didn't see flags everywhere because they was lighting people up.
They were
Uh,
lighting them up.
and the scary part is the Lions still have an awful lot of guys who are out injured on defense.
And they
So
get the
those are
rest.
backups in. Yeah, and
Yeah,
there
they
were
get the rest.
backups in. They One thing about the Lions this year, they have to capitalize because last year after they lost in the conference championship, Campbell said, "Guys, we might not get back there because nothing is guaranteed. We might not get back here. We didn't get it done." Now they appear to be well on their way back to the conference championship, and they need to get it done this year because I got a feeling Glenn and Johnson will both be gone. Both coordinators will be gone and getting head coaching jobs, or at least one of them will be. They look damn good last night. I mean, Jameer Gibbs ripping and running, or as far as Gump would say, he would started running and running and running and running. I mean, it was impressive. I mean, when when they scored their second touchdown, I said, "Oh, I got a feeling it's about to pop." And all of a sudden, you're looking at 31-9, and you're like, and it's almost like you missed it, but
I
Gibbs
went to
kept
grab a bite to eat
scoring.
and missed it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I mean, it was impressive. They made the Vikings look like they weren't that
They made the Vikings.
good.
They made the Vikings look like we better figure something out because who do they have for the first round?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Because they lost, they got dropped all the way down. They are playing
I can see.
with it's not Phillies. I think it's the Rams.
They may be okay um, with them due to the I'm looking at the bracket now. They may be okay. The Rams
Oh,
defense,
yeah,
even if they watch the film that Detroit provided for everyone throughout the playoffs on the Vikings, the Rams defense may not have the personnel to apply that level of pressure that was placed on them. But it will definitely be something. But they do have until Monday to figure it out
yeah.
because it is the Rams. Now, on to another game that let me go here. The Bengals ended up winning 5 straight to end the year. Shout out to, and we're going to speak on him a little later. Shout out to Jamar Chase for winning the NFL's Triple Crown at wide receiver. What is that? Yards, catches, yards, receptions, and
Yards,
touchdown?
yeah, yards,
Okay.
catches, and touchdown.
By a wide receiver. Hadn't been done since I believe 2021 with Cooper Kupp. He definitely has, and we'll speak on this later, possibly solidify him a payday. I have a few choice words in regards to that. But you got to win early in the NFL, and you find yourself in a bad position when you're relying on someone else to win to get you in.
Right. You never
And
want to have someone else controlling your
you,
destiny.
you, you don't want to have anyone else controlling, your destiny, especially, and I'm going to segue here, especially a team that has had personnel to personnel trouble with you. So when you have Andy Reid with the understanding that Denver is who they are, and we can put something together and win, and it could put Cincinnati in the game, Kansas City is going to let up off the gas, which is what they did. Taking nothing away from the Broncos, But Kansas City was out there playing a preseason game.
Yeah, that's the first time in his career Andy Reid's been shut out.
Absolutely, and I think he was willing to. I think he was willing to take that, go into the bye week, and whomever he faces after the bye week, Kansas City is going to remember we got shut out.
Yeah, I just don't like sitting everybody like that. I don't. Even if you got nothing to play for, I at least trot out there for a few plays or something. But they made Denver look like they weren't actually, well, they were actually a good team. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Denver's going into their playoff game with confidence. And now the games I like to call the flip channel games, split screen games, were the Bucks versus the Saints, and of course the Falcons versus the Panthers. Now NFC South games, everybody meeting one another. That was pretty much week 18 of the NFL. What happened? All conference, all divisions.
yeah,
Met one another. Now I will say this: in a shootout, Bryce Young is going into the 2025 season with a lot of confidence. That young man, and I've asked this question to Raheem Morris. Did you go and recruit the University of Miami Hurricanes defense? Because that was a pathetic showing to allow Bryce Young to just look so prolific, in that game. Go ahead, Tank.
yeah. I'll tell you this: Bryce has played a whole lot better since he came back from his benching, and I mean his decision making looks better. Like you said, he looks more confident. He looks like he's standing strong in the pocket when he needs to. He doesn't like he's bailing whenever he even showed yesterday the little flip pass that he did.
Right.
He's shown he's playing loose. I mean, it might have been that he was too tight the whole time, but now he's playing loose, and it's like now he knows. Yeah, I can play this game. I can play out here with these guys. I can make my mark in this league. I can do this.
I can make my
And
mark.
his teammates are like, hey, we got us one. We got us one because everybody's stepping up. If Bryce develops, if he continues to develop, and if it Xavier Levitt, big,
Yep.
strong, and fast,
Got some a weapon.
if he develops, you got something. And then you got Chubbard in the backfield. You got you got a potentially three good weapons, and they're young. That can lead this offense. I was surprised that it went into overtime though. I was like, how that happened?
Well, I'll say this because turning the corner for 2025, I definitely see Atlanta front offices. I don't know if they keep Cousins, but London and Mooney wasn't even playing. They have found something, boy. That was London and Penix Jr.
Yeah.
and Bijan Robinson. They have a future. The only thing I would suggest to young Penix Jr. is this is why I like Patrick Mahomes, and I want to see, and hopefully, things go well for this young man coming out of Miami because these are the only two quarterbacks in football that I've seen that can do this very well. Any quarterback can get in a shootout when the defenses aren't playing very well. So you have to figure out how to have clock management in the passing game to go along with your running game to keep teams off the field in the shootout. Because last week, he found himself with Daniels in that same situation. Daniels got the ball first. He loses the game. He finds himself this week with Bryce Young, loses the game. So you don't want to go down that path of, especially, these are the quarterbacks of the future. I just named three.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to go down that path of these being your future rivals and you can't beat them. So you have to find a way to manipulate the game in such a way where, okay, yeah, I can throw right with you. I think anybody can go down and be a prolific passer in a shootout. But you have to say, hey, my defense can't stop anybody. So the best way to stop their offense is to keep that offense off the field.
Right.
So, and I've seen Patrick Mahomes do that very well. And I've seen Cam Ward do that very well. And that's just a science of football that I hope all quarterbacks learn. I just have seen Penix Jr. go down 0-2 in that situation. And you don't want that to happen, at all.
Yeah, the Falcons definitely need to beef up their defense. They've got to get a pass rusher because Judon is not the answer. They need to get a consistent pass rush.
And they can concentrate on in the draft on defense because
yeah,
I think they're solidified. I think they have offense, maybe get an offensive lineman to make sure they protect Penix Jr., in the draft, second, third round, but definitely beef up on the defense. And they look to have a bright future. Now, on the split screen side channel of that, Spencer Rattler and Henderson was showing improving, down in Tampa. But Baker Mayfield eventually on the split got a double in and went one up for the Bucs. And so, Atlanta with the Bucs win were eliminated regardless in a situation where they needed to win and the Bucs to lose to have an opportunity at a playoff spot. But Tampa went ahead and prevailed, and they will be meeting the Commanders, next week for the wild card games in the playoffs. But I will give Baker Mayfield his props.
Oh, he is. He starting last year, but especially this year, he got his mojo back, and
it was Oklahomish.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, okay, that's the guy that we thought Cleveland's looking, saying that's the guy we thought we were drafting. I mean, he got that team. Those guys love him. He's out there. He ran for a career high 68 yards. He threw for 41 touchdowns this season. I mean, he's a franchise quarterback again.
Absolutely.
He's slinging it. He looks good, and his decision making, everything about. I mean, the thing about him, he looks like a little guy out there who's just going to try, who just trying to survive. When you just see his size, but then you see him and he's got full command of that offense. He's got full command of that team. They're listening to him. That he operates the huddle very well. Like I said, his decision making, what he's trying to do, he still has that gunslinger mentality, but he's honed it in so that it doesn't hurt the team as often as it helps the team. And that's, I mean, you can't ask for more than that.
And it definitely is good to have someone solid at receiver, veteran like Mike Evans. It doesn't have Godwin, but the youngsters stepped up for him. Tight end stepped up for him. Running backs. So the Bucs.
And he throws a catchable ball too.
Definitely, the Bucs look like a formidable opponent going into the playoffs, going into the 2024-2025 playoff season. So it's going to be fun to watch. Now, speaking of wide receivers, I want to congratulate. I touched on it earlier, but I do want to congratulate Mike Evans on his 11th straight 1,000-yard season. And I think Mike Evans has created the new sustainable Hall of Fame career type receiving situation, because I think he has a 1,400-yard season and a 1,500-yard season, but the rest are
like 1,100.
1,200, 1,000, kind of right there. I'm just going to stay right here. It's consistent because I've seen a lot of those guys have those 19s and those 18s. Cooper came close. Tariq came close with 19. And it falls off. Kind of like what the running backs do. It falls off tremendously the next year because that's a lot of work you're putting in. So I think sustainable is, just kind of stay right here at 1,100, 1,200. Not a lot of empty calories. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's make that 1,000 yards matter. And they solidified the win. The defense stepped up, got that stop. I think at the beginning of the game, he might have been at 9:59 or something like that, and he needed about 20 or 25 more by the end of the game, and they went ahead and made sure they got him his
Yeah,
yards.
yeah.
11 straight
He was 5 yards away from 1,000, and he got 7 on the last play.
on the
And the
last play, right?
thing, and this goes back to what I was saying about Baker, as far as the team loves him and all, because Baker Mayfield had said earlier in the week that if he's on the field and if Evans is on the field and he needs catches or he needs catches and yards to get to his 1,000, he said he's gonna get it. I'm gonna make sure that he gets it.
Absolutely.
And you could see after he scored when he flipped it to the running back and they scored, I was like, man, I don't think he's gonna get it. And they got the ball back, and in essence, they could have run the ball or they could have just kneeled. But Baker, as it come out, was like, yo, Evans is gonna get it. And I was like, well, make sure he runs a long enough pattern
Pattern,
that if he
yeah.
catches once he catches it, he's automatically
Mhm.
over 1,000.
Over
I ain't
1,000,
wanting to
right?
run a 3 yards, hit him on a 3 yard quick slant,
And
and
have him run for
he
4,
get
right?
yeah, and instead he winds up short. But I think it was good, and it lets you know records and going after records, especially if you could do it in the context of the game, is worth it. We want to see that. We like to see history being made, and I'm glad that they did go ahead and make sure that he got it. And yeah, like you said, he just went barely over 1,000, but he's been that type of receiver,
Right.
and
And
I think what's
contextually, right quick, contextually, we want to, he tied Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice still has the record at
right.
14. And so he's on his way to breaking the consecutive record next season.
Yeah,
Well, I know, upon him having health, they're going to work on that for him as well. And now on to another wide receiver who didn't break a record, but he did solidify a triple crown. Jamar Chase had a fantastic game. Him and Burrow with that magical season, he ends up getting the triple crown. The unfortunate side to that is, and I don't like it, is empty calories, because I am not a fan of breaking records, going for records, having career highs, and it doesn't translate into playoff football. The last time this happened was 1992, 91 or 92. I believe it was 92. Sterling Sharp and the Green Bay Packers.
yeah.
So you don't want to do all that work and then can't put in that work against the best of the best.
Yeah, it's like it looks good and everything, and it's impressive, but at the same time, it's like, so what? You didn't. You over here. You on the couch about to go fishing with me, and we didn't. And I only had 500 yards receiving, and you had a whole lot more than me. But we both were the same at the end of weeks. At the end of week 18, we both cleaned out our locker the next day.
Absolutely.
So you want it to. It's great to do it, but you do want it to matter because it's like, okay, he did all of that, but what did it in the grand scheme of things?
In the grand
What
scheme.
did it do?
And
So
you can't miss out when I want to say, and this is not a shameless, it's really not. And I hope it doesn't sound that way. But this is not a shameless plug for the Cowboys. And prior to the Cowboys, I want to say the Chargers. When you have um, Kellen Winslow, Dan Fouts, and Wesley Chandler,
Wes Chandler, Kellen Winslow,
Jefferson,
James Charles
yeah,
Joyner,
yeah, Charlie Joyner.
Charlie Joyner,
When
James
you have
Jefferson.
a arguably top five quarterback a prolific tight end or productive and a wide receiver, the magic should get you into the playoffs. The
Yeah.
Cowboys did it with Aikman, Novacek, and Irvin. You then see, I'm going to jump up a little bit into contemporary times where you see Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill. This season you see Rudolph, Jefferson, Darnold. You see Kincaid, Allen, and even though they're young, Kai, their wide receiver for Buffalo.
Oh, Keon.
Yeah,
Keon
you have
Coleman.
them. Then you have also who else?
Uh, you got you got Andrews,
You got Andrews,
Flowers, and
Lamar, and
Lamar.
Zay Flowers. The formula, and Gesicki,
Yeah. Gesicki.
Gesicki, Burrow, and
Higgins.
Higgins
Higgins and Chase.
and Chase. Like you should not allow yourself to not to have that formula. When you have that formula, it's playoff formula. It needs to work for you. Even down in Houston, they have our former tight end. What my man name is, Nico.
Deco and the other guy, that team just had bad level injuries at the
Yeah, they had
receiver.
bad level injuries, but they
Yeah.
still making it to the playoffs with
Yeah.
the formula. So you really can't. Is it Schultz? Dalton Schultz? You really
Yeah.
can't miss out when you have the formula like that. Because
Yeah.
this is where it is. This is
Yeah.
what's going on.
But in defense of the offense, they had no defense this year. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. I mean, they were giving it up. They
But
knew.
you've also seen Kansas City do that without a defense. Let me
Yeah.
not forget St. Brown, Laporta, and golf.
Yeah.
So you have a formula, and let's not act like Detroit's defense is not depleted. So when you have that formula, you have to figure out how to win those close games to get yourself in the playoffs. At least 10 games would have got you in the playoffs this year. Definitely 11. So I hope he can do it again next year. I wish him well. It's just you don't want to waste those opportunities, especially when your formula is working for you like that. And I don't even know,
Yeah.
has
It's a
Higgins
wasted
signed? Will they
season.
have him next year?
Who?
Higgins.
Higgins. Higgins is going to be somewhere else. I believe. I don't believe they have, or I don't believe that they have, or will spend the money
Knowing they
to
got to pay
have both
Shakeups.
of those receivers. Yeah,
Right.
because Chase wants at least $1 more than his buddy Jefferson, and
At
you
least
got
$1.
two. You got 200 some million tied up in Burrow. You're gonna have close to 200 tied up in Chase. What's going to be left for Higgins? Because they still got to they got to get free agents and they got to bring in defensive personnel. So
Jared, are
Higgins
you
is
listening?
going to yeah. So Higgins is going to be somewhere else, and you, they think that he could be a one, but we're gonna find out if he's a one or if he's a very good two who is best suited as a two. We're gonna
I
find
think
out that out
I
about Higgins.
I like Detroit's formula. I like Detroit's formula. Is it Gibbs? No, Gibbs is the running back.
Gibbs is running back, yeah.
Um, the young boy, fast out of Alabama,
Yeah,
playing with St.
that's
Brown.
yeah. When you say young receiver fast out of Alabama, that's like for the past decade.
Absolutely. And and
Yeah.
and 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 I'm not certain of the tight end. But Brown and Smith, I think Smith is a very good two, not necessarily a one,
Hmm.
but Brown is a solidified one. So, we're gonna speak on that, but Higgins is like one of those very good twos that would work well with CD. And CD is a 2 when he wants to be, a 1 against losing teams, but he comes to play. And I think a lot of that pressure would get off of him with someone like Higgins. Could we find that in the draft like Jerry likes to do? Maybe so. But things like that, those type receivers need that guy.
I like to see Higgins in Pittsburgh. We missed out on Board, but I would love to see him in Pittsburgh because maybe he could get
Pittsburgh.
through. Maybe he could get through the hit to Pickens and teach him how to be a pro. I still say that one of the things wrong with Pickens is there's not a veteran receiver who can teach him. They're guys who Jefferson has been in the league for a minute, but Jefferson is not somebody who's done it so that Pickens is going to listen
I
to
want to
him.
respect that. Yeah.
Yeah, Higgins has done some things, so he might listen to him because Pickens, I don't know. I mean, you
Do you
have
think you think Mike T gets rid of him? Like is he a problem?
Mike has always said we'll tolerate you until we can replace you, and he will. I think he'll be back because he's still on the he's on the contract last year, but he won't be back. He won't be getting a new contract unless he makes up for it this weekend in the playoffs because he's got too many lapses and he does too many stupid things. And he this yesterday on the other Saturday he dropped 3 passes that were right in his hands. He missed some other passes that normally we see him make the impossible catches routinely, but the routine catches he drops. He stops running on routes at times. He gets penalties. He's It's like why are you acting this way? And it's not as if he's arrived and he's got all this. He's already signed a big contract. And some people have tried to portray him as, oh, he's like AB, this, that, the. No, he's
Oh
not
no.
anything like AB. AB didn't cut up during games until that
Sure didn't.
last
AD
year he
showed
was
up to
there.
play now.
And he showed up.
AB showed up to play.
AB showed up. AB was like, all right, I might be crazy, but I ain't stupid. When it's game time, I'm finna show y'all who I am.
I might be crazy, but I'm gonna go crazy game
Yeah.
time. And I kind of going back to my statement as far as the formula is concerned. I don't want to take anything away from Fryer, Wilson, and
Yeah.
Pickens. They made it to the playoffs with the formula. So back to what I was saying about Gesicki, Burrow, and Chase. You kind of gotta figure out how to make that not be empty calories. And you don't want to have a team full of Pro Bowl guys that's making it to the Pro Bowl, yet you're ousted in the first round, or you're not making it to the
We're not
playoffs.
making it. Mm-hmm.
As former Pittsburgh Steeler, Lee Flowers said about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when they had those type of years, paper
Yeah,
champions.
paper champions. Yeah.
You don't want to be known as that. And speaking of Pickens and all of these receivers, who do you feel historically had like the best season as a wide receiver in history? I'm pretty sure it's Jerry Rice.
Jerry during the strike year, the 12 games, that was special. 22 touchdowns and led the league in receiving in the 12 games. That
Mm-hmm.
was special. I mean, that was special. Somebody you got to look at because you look at what his numbers he put up back in the 60s. That Charlie Hennigan, though he had 1,700 yards in the 60s, and that was his career high. But his stats for that season stand up against the best of stats, even in today's game. But I think Rice, uh, Moss, the year they went
Moss.
19, 18 and 1,
Yeah.
not a singular season, but for a 6 year run. There's no receivers had a better 6 year run than AB. No receiver has had a better 6 year
AB
run
had
than
a
AB.
6 year run. I mean, and he was in the seasons with Julio Jones and Dez
Yeah, he
Bryant,
was
who
the
had,
best receiver in the game at that time.
but AB was
Yeah,
that's a special boy. He's a
uh,
special one.
it's
Megatron was a different.
yeah.
The wins just didn't translate.
My thing with Megatron is somebody's gonna jump on in the comments and call me all kinds of SOB and this, that, and the other and don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But for me, Megatron was my issue with him was he didn't score enough, just like Julio didn't
Just like
score enough.
Julio.
And I know that he was in Detroit. I understand that. But with the if he was a sports car, with the specs that he had, there's no reason for him not to score more. But I mean that 1,900 yard season he had there was something. So you got to put him up there for that.
Absolutely. So we got
But
some guys, man. We got some guys, and shout out to Marvin Harrison Jr., who had like his rookie season mirrored his father's. I thought that was
yeah,
pretty special. You know, with the stats that they had, pretty good stuff. Over 800 yards receiving.
yeah. But you asked again before we move on. When you talk about best his receiving games or receiving seasons, it's kind of fluid because the numbers of what they are these days, and because there's so many ebb and flows with it as opposed to running backs, they you know it's kind of it's more concrete. And like the other day, we were talking about the best 2,000 yard season, and I think the best season for a running back is between Terrell Davis and Emmett, the 92. I think it
Or
was the
maybe three.
92 season, 93. I think the second Super Bowl season. He
Yeah.
put up all kinds of craziness, but for the awards he received also. But like the wide receivers, you could say, man, you remember it, and it depends on how you gonna quantify best receiver. Is it just gonna be yards, or is it gonna be number of catches? Because Herman Moore put up a whole lot of
Herman Moore put
catches.
up a lot.
Confusing.
Like
Uh,
I said,
Chris
I'm
Carter
always going to
did.
quantify me. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
quantify with what you did postseason.
Posted, yeah. So a lot of these guys, those guys you name, get knocked out because postseason they either weren't there or they didn't do anything in it.
They didn't do anything.
Jerry always showed
Always
up in
there.
the postseason. Larry Fitzgerald that one
Larry
year
Fitzgerald postseason.
he showed
AB
up.
postseason.
Yeah, I mean,
AB was
but
getting in the postseason. Right.
yeah.
Mike
So
Evans postseason.
yeah, so you gotta
Is Mike sitting on one Super Bowl?
yeah,
Solidified Hall of Fame.
yeah. I would I when I look at Evans, if I just look at his play and look at everything and not say, oh, he's got all these consecutive 1,000 yard seasons. It doesn't jump out to me that it doesn't say Hall of Famer to me. It says Hall of Very Good. Because he's not dominated the way we've seen receivers dominate. He's not dominated like AB. He ain't dominated like Jerry. He ain't dominated like Moss. He ain't dominated like T.O. He's been very good and very
Consistent.
consistent. You know, but when you stack up his individual seasons, these other guys, his seasons are down here compared to these other guys. And again, I'm not taking anything away and say, hey, man, he's not good because he is. But it could be where he's playing. But
They're gonna SOB you, man.
yeah, but really, when you think about when you mention best wide receivers of the past 10, 15 years, most people do not say Mike Evans in the first 5 or 6. They don't. They name. They name. They'll say who. They might say Julio. They'll say AB. They'll say he wasn't still playing there. But there's other guys that they will name before they get to Evans. Or if you just talk about all timers, there's a lot. The Evans is
There's a lot
not
of guys.
one. It doesn't roll off your tongue.
You gonna Harold Carmichael. You gonna Isaac Bruce. You gonna Torrey Hope. You gonna say a lot of guys.
Yeah,
You gonna
you're gonna say
Marvin
you're gonna
Harrison.
say Larry Fitzgerald. You're
You
gonna
gonna say
say
Chris Carter.
you might say Anquan Bolden.
You might
Those
even say
names,
Hines Ward
yeah, names will roll off your tongue,
before you
and
get the mic.
then you say Mike Evans, and you, yeah, man, he's real good. Yeah, okay, yeah, I can say that. It's almost like when you talking about female singers, you say Whitney, you say Patty, you'll say Prime Mariah, you'll say Aretha, and then somebody will say, "What about Stephanie Mills?" And yeah, man, you're right. Stephanie
And
can
then you
hang.
got what about Anita Baker?
Yeah, they can
You
hang with
gotta.
them too. It's that's how I think about Mike Evans, and it's not bad because yeah, he is one of them, but he's just not the one that jumps out when you discuss him. And if y'all come for me in the comments, hey, I got some smoke for you, but
Let's
I'm
let,
differentiating.
let's do this for Mike. Let's do this for Mike. Because I know sometimes you have to wear a certain helmet.
Yeah.
You have to be braggadocious, very brass. And shout out to your last conversation because you'll still say Tariq Hill before you
Yeah.
get to you say Chad Ochocinco before you get to Mike. But the thing is, okay, Tariq Loud, Randy Loud, T.O. Loud. No, he wasn't loud. Playmaker Michael Irvin loud.
You said Chad.
AB was loud.
Yeah.
So let's take the loud wide receivers and put them over there. Now let's go quiet. Jerry Rice, Marvin
Well,
Harrison.
Jared could get loud when, hey man, it was 3 plays I was open, they ain't get the ball. He gave to the other dude. But yeah, I'll tell you who Mike Evans is, or who he didn't fall in the vein of, and the way
You
you're
put
going
DeAndre
with it.
Hopkins over Mike.
Yeah, I'll tell you who he is, and because this guy, I never heard him talk until his Hall of Fame induction, and then they had an interview with him, and he was dominant, but you just didn't think about him. Andre Johnson.
Okay, now because Andre deserves to be in that conversation, and you would probably think of Andre as a Stephanie Mills. Could you could easily forget about him. So here's the thing. Then there's where Mike fits in that the loud ones don't fit in, and the quiet ones have this too. DeAndre Hopkins, Megatron, Andre Johnson, Mike Evans.
Julio.
Name their quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's a problem. You got to name their quarterbacks
Exactly. Instead of their quarterback. They have a category that probably makes their dominance quiet. And that's the fact that they're quiet
and impressive.
And impressive. They're quiet and they don't even have a solid quarterback to go along with their records. Reggie Wayne still had Peyton Manning. Marvin had Peyton.
Fitzgerald didn't have. He had multiple quarterbacks.
He did have multiple quarterbacks. I'm gonna give him some Kurt Warner because you got to give him Kurt Warner because they made it to that Super Bowl. But
yeah, over the hill, Carson Palmer. He had a whole bunch of
Carson Palmer. He had a whole bunch of mess. He didn't have that career quarterback that would make you, and that's nothing against the names that Baker, because somebody's still gonna be like, Baker Mayfield wasn't bad. Jameis Winston wasn't bad. Of course, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. Mike didn't have
one sustained dude.
So you kind of got to break his situation down and see, okay, when I argue him, where is he amongst those guys who had to, and you kind of he's still fifth and sixth because I want to say AB had Big Ben.
Yeah.
Hines had Big Ben. Plexico had Big Ben. Plexico had Eli. Like these guys don't have. You kind of got to categorize them a little bit because they did do much with considerably less. Because Mike still had an older Tom Brady. He had a comeback Baker Mayfield. He had a gunslinging, erratic
pick man
Jameis
in
Winston.
Winston.
And it's almost like Mike somewhere in there with, and I don't know how many he's had, but he's quiet like Amari Cooper is.
Yeah.
Who hasn't had a lot of good quarterbacks to maintain. Because, Romo wasn't bad for Dez. Dak wasn't bad for Dez. But they're still better than what these guys had.
Yeah.
So he kind of he has to, you kind of have to give him a little leeway on why his name doesn't stand out in that dominance, to go along with, the 6'5" frame and the fact that he's just, a team guy.
Yeah, and if he was a running back, he would be Curtis Martin.
He'd be Curtis. Absolutely. He's just in that category. So it's one of those things, man. Shout out to him. I do believe he's a Hall of Famer because, and thank goodness the Bucs do finally get to put, I should say, finally get to put a Hall of Famer on offense. I think.
Yeah, he'd be the first one.
Yeah, he'd be the first one in Canton.
There's another one that they could get, but I don't think he's going to do it because they never had winning seasons with him. But he's offensive line. Paul Gruber. Paul Gruber was a heck of a.
Not in the Hall of Fame?
Paul Gruber's not in. No.
Yeah, they never really. Yeah.
Yeah. He was Joe Thomas before Joe Thomas.
Very much Joe Thomas out of Jacksonville, right?
No, Joe Thomas, the offensive lineman from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Who never won nothing. Jacksonville. Baselli.
Tony Baselli.
Yeah.
Early Jacksonville,
Mm-hmm.
And so, going back, even though Brunell and Keenan and the other one, Big Boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Shouts out to me. I'm probably the only person doing any kind of sports talk who mentioned Paul Gruber since Paul Gruber's been retired.
Shout out to Tank.
Let me pat myself on the back.
Who mentioned honeysuckle orange, number 74, Paul Gruber. There are some Buck fans who probably don't. They would have said when you were contemplating who the name was, they probably would have said All-Star before they said Paul Gruber, and saying all that. Now, speaking of receiving, FS1 has been receiving a lot of flack and posts, negative, in regards to a sexual harassment.
42 pages. That's the
42 pages.
Complaint.
I told y'all about Tank. He has it. Superior Court. The man printed it out, y'all. He printed it out. In regards to an alleged sexual harassment case going on at FS1. Names being mentioned are Skip Bayless, Acho, and Joy Taylor. Not Joy Taylor being the one that brought up these charges, but a hairstylist. What's her name?
The hairstylist. Her name is, forgive me for butchering the last name, but I believe that's Nushan Faraj. Yeah. Nushan Faraj.
Nushan Faraj. That sound like a hair salon. So, and the big part of the story, and I'm gonna let you get through all that you've read, but the big part of the story is because I'm coming in straight on emotion. This woman has alleged that Skip Bayless offered her 1.5 million to barter for sex. Tank, take over.
Well,
Or you want to put the 1.5 million into perspective?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Um, First and foremost, a little joking, but at the same time, I can't see 1.5 million for no cat. Second of all, I don't believe, and this,
Hold on.
that,
For those
oh,
who don't know, cat is a colloquial for the female reproductive organ. Go ahead, Tank.
all right. There's a whole bunch of allegations in here. It's a class action suit. They're suing Fox Corporation, Fox Sports Holdings LLC, Fox Sports LLC, Fox Sports 2 LLC, Fox Sports Productions LLC. Then you get to the individuals: Charlie Dixon, Skip Bayless, and Joy Taylor. Also, 25 John or Jane Does. And Does is because they don't know the names of these individuals, these other 25 individuals that they are put in this suit. Therefore, they refer to them as Does.
So DOE, the office extra.
Yeah, yeah. And the most salacious parts, and that's what's getting all the pub, is Skip Bayless harassing this lady for 7 years that she worked cutting his hair for 7 years. And he allegedly propositioned her and said, "Hey, I give you $1.5 million. I can change your life if you let me hit." I'm under the impression, and KD, you can correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I think you are also, that he said it. We don't mean this in a not joking way because it's not funny,
In
but
jest. Yeah.
sarcastic and kind of fishing. Oh, so you trying to tell me if I give you 1.5 million, you're not gonna let me get it?
Right.
And the way this thing is worded, if you take it and you read all 42 pages, this thing reads like a Lifetime movie. It's a textbook. It's written as a textbook way of sexual harassment, hostile work environment, neglect, every single thing thing you want in the playbook is right here. This is the playbook. Women, if you want to charge anybody and say that this is happening to you, you do that, you get this same exact complaint, the same exact lawsuit drawn up because
And put your name on it.
everything that goes with that is in there. 7 years, Skip allegedly was after her for 7 years. Also in this, Skip was allegedly mad at her for not doing it because he thought Shannon Sharp was hitting it. You let Shannon hit it. You letting Shannon hit it. Why I can't get it? That's basically, I'm
You think
paraphrasing,
Skip
but
put his
that's
foot up on the
basically
table
it.
and said, I wear Jordans too?
Yeah, I mean that's part of what it is with Skip. And
Jealousy.
again, this is all alleged, but hugging her, kissing on the cheek, coming in. Even there's one part where they go into the makeup room to talk. She has her phone out to record him to try to catch him, and he comes in because those rooms are notorious for being bugged. And he says, this room bugged. You're not gonna catch me on nothing in here because I already know they got mics and they got open mics in here so they can hear everything. But I mean, it's like a dang Lifetime movie, man. And we're not making light of the situation because we
Why
do
not?
want to say, yo, because
You need to be
but these are
politically
all
correct.
these are all alleged though. My
Right.
thing is
Allegations.
people are saying people the thing that's really gotten to me is like they're saying she did like Kobe.
Bryant?
Yeah, when Kobe was talking, when he got caught messing around, and he said, "Well, Shaq doing it too." He got threw Shaq in there.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. Throwing him under the
Yeah,
bus.
and yeah, threw him on the
Yeah.
bus
Everybody
like
under the bus.
Shaq,
Right.
and
Okay.
like, dang, how I'm catching straight? They ain't got nothing to do with this.
Right.
So
Joy.
Joy is in there. It's like she's making it out like her and Joy were friends, and she goes to Joy and tells Joy what was going on, and Joy tells her she needs to get over it. Now, again, the whole lawsuit is drawn up from her telling her perspective, and it is worded perfectly so that if you read this, you would think everybody at Fox was horrible. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I have no idea. But they quote Joy as saying, "Get over it." I know that I'm almost 100% sure that her whole quote was not "get over it." It may have been, well, you're gonna have to figure out if you're gonna go and report him or not. If you're gonna have to go and report him and do something, have them do something about it, or get over it. I think they left off part of it. I don't think her statement.
Most definitely. I think Joy might have just kind of been like, you keep coming to us and coming to us about this, but you've never done anything about it. You keep showing up to work, tolerating something that you obviously don't agree with, but you keep coming to work. And why do you keep coming to work? Because you are working with a bunch of males who have money and have power, and you're using their names and their power to brand yourself for things you're doing outside of the office. Because I know you're stepping outside of the office and say, "Oh, I do Skip Bayless's hair, I do Shannon Sharp's hair, I do such. I'm working with these people. You should pay me $400, or your value and your price goes up because of who you work with." And people do that all the time. You stay in that network in order to advance your own personal value, outside of the job.
Yeah,
Like you said, I'm upset that people are catching strays because, one, when has it ever been against the law or illegal to proposition a woman for time?
yeah, and
Men are getting caught. Men are getting caught in this little, conundrum and slippery slope process in the office, especially where, we have to figure out how to interpret what you think we're saying versus what we're actually saying. And then you have a situation to where we are not in 2012 anymore. Men have really been watching themselves. Just like you said, Skip was, "Hey, you ain't gonna catch me in here saying anything to you. The microphone's on." Men have really been very careful about the things that they say to women, especially in the
yeah,
office. There's a generation of women in the past, 7 to 8 years, creating a narrative like, "Hey, men aren't courting us anymore. Men aren't saying anything to us anymore." Why? Because it's the way a lot of you are interpreting friendship,
yeah,
speaking in the office openly.
yeah.
I
And
think it was
if
something said in jest, a conversation that women were having with men. How do you value yourself? This, that, and the third. Also, if a man offered you $1.5 million, to have sex with you, you wouldn't do it. And Skip might have been the one that made that suggestion. Who
yeah,
knows? But the attorneys will take that, hyperbolize it, embellish it, and flip it into what you say, a lifetime script.
and there's and the thing about with Joy is she's alleged to have slept with the EVP, the content guy, Charles Dixon, and I got it highlighted in here, so I'll just paraphrase it. That Joy was recently moved to LA, and she started seeing this guy, and this lady says that she had the feeling, basically, that Joy and this guy was sleeping together. She makes a lot of speculations, and she assumes that she's sleeping with this guy. Whether she did or not, I don't know. but it's alleged that Joy got her position on not Speak, on first with
The first take, the
Undisputed,
new first,
Undisputed.
the new first take, undisputed. Yeah.
No, with Undisputed, the original
Oh, the first.
Undisputed with
Okay,
Shannon.
okay.
Yeah, she got that because she slept with the guy, and then she got the part she got on Speak because she slept with Ocho, and Skip didn't want her at first, but the guy said just do it as a favor to me and get her and let Joy do this. And later she goes and gets the job on Speak after sleeping with Ocho. This is what's alleged. And again, she said she got the feeling when she met Ocho and saw them at Fox that they had something going on. She
So it couldn't have been. It couldn't
speculating.
have been. We work together and we have a level of chemistry
Yeah,
and
because
working
she's
together.
saying, yeah, because she said, well, Joy was only on the radio and was a bartender when she was in Miami. She comes out to LA, does the big gigs filling in, and they wanted someone who been on TV, had a lot of experience on TV. Joy didn't have it. But all of a sudden, she's on Undisputed. My thing with
But
this is,
wasn't she filling in sometimes with
she would fill in. She was
was
a
she so
fill
she
in.
was she was filling in at times as like the the woman in the corner for the other guy that
Cowherd.
has the show.
For Cowherd later, yeah.
Cowherd, yeah, like,
So
and she had a
my th-
podcast, and she
yeah,
has a
my
name
thing,
being Jason Taylor's sister.
sister, yeah.
Everybody know who she is.
Yeah, and my thing is, okay, you're alleging that she slept her way into these positions. Maybe she did, I don't know, but you're
Is
alleging
that
that
against the
that's what
law?
happened. No, it's not. It's not illegal. But she's saying also they painting Joy out to be a mean girl because Joy they weren't friends any longer, and Joy talked about her allegedly talked about her accent, and nobody could understand it. Joy got rid of her from doing her hair because she wanted a black hairstylist, and then later Joy got two
What's wrong with
black
that?
hairstylists
Joy's half black.
because she'd been doing Joy's hair for 7 years. So she's saying that I mean, it. I mean, I don't the thing I don't like because she's saying Joy could have helped or could have stopped all this. Go to HR. She went to HR. You did your gripe needs to be with HR. It can't be with Joy because Joy didn't put a stop to it. And then she says, well, Joy told her that if she did that since she slept with Ocho and she's got the part on Speak now, that she's
Emmanuel
powerful.
Ocho, everyone,
Yeah,
not Ocho Cinco.
yeah, yeah, Ocho, yeah. So she's got power at Fox now. Joy does, and allegedly Joy tells this lady that, well, something happened. I don't need to deal with him anymore because I've elevated myself. And if they ask me if me and him have had sex, I'll just say that he forced himself on me. So basically, she's saying that Joy said that Joy allegedly said she was gonna claim that the guy raped her in order to
Oh
save
my
face or
goodness,
whatnot. It's I
that's in the
mean,
report.
man, I'm telling you, you print out these 42 pages, you're gonna read it. And I was reading it at work and I was like, man, you feel like you're reading a book, man. You like you read a novel. I mean, and the thing that's gotten to me is the whole thing is about Fox, how the culture at Fox and what's wrong at Fox. But people have gone and ran with it and made it all about, oh, this is Joy Taylor sleeping with everybody to get what she is.
And you know the internet gonna run with that.
Yeah, that's all I've been seeing, and it irks me because that's not even what this thing is about. And not only that, nobody. I mean, there's not anybody out there who knows anything about sports who's just gonna tell you Joy doesn't know what the hell she's talking about.
Like she's not out there, just being cute.
Yeah, she does her research. She knows what
Not
she
everybody looking at her
intricately knows what
outfits.
she's
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah, she knows what she's talking about. She's not a pretty face just sitting up there. She actually knows She can go
She
toe
has
to
a
toe with
passion for what
whomever they
she's
bring
doing.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody who
Pe-
they get on a debate with, she can go toe to toe with.
Let's point this out too, for the people that don't know this. That lady was released in August, not for this,
Yeah. Right.
but for her services. So then we got this like level of
Yeah.
retaliation, and it's not to say she's wrong. It's just she was released in August, and then also these people go to work. TV is like this. These people go to work 4 in the morning, and then you're there 4 in the morning until you tape 3 in the afternoon. So you're there all day. And we could say this about any job. Any job that you're on, and you're there more time than at the job more than you're home. Interaction is going to happen. Hey, you look nice today, Miss Such and Such. Hey, I like that. Your cologne smells good. Picking people up can be flirting by default these days. Especially with women in the workplace. So you have to kind of really be careful about what you say. But even in all of the HR videos that they have put out for people to understand, even for the women who create these allegations, not really understanding what harassment is, on the job relationships still happen. HR tends to say, we don't recommend you doing that because people break up.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want all of that going on, once you're at odds with each other, still in the same workplace. That's why we don't condone that. But it happens. So even if this woman did sleep with someone she works with, women are attracted to power. In a sports talk environment, people who talk about sports, if you look at everybody, people tend to try to, they're former athletes, they tend to be in shape. They tend to try to stay in shape. So when they have people who come on, oh, you still look like you could play. You still look like you formerly were a player. That's just the nature of the beast. And sometimes you might be one of those sports analysts who didn't play sports, and you need to lift some weights anyway because you're talking a lot of noise. And when that athlete come on there, he might get a little bit out of profession, and you need to know you got something behind you,
Mm-hmm.
so you're gonna get under the weights. Having said all of that, these are physically attractive people on TV, being made up, looking your best. Attraction happens. In the workplace, man, I wish people really would get off whatever they think Joy did, to get to the top, because
Yeah.
everybody manipulates the system in some way, form, or fashion.
And it's not just did she do this, she slept with them. Okay, maybe it's just me, but if she slept with them, that means that they slept with her.
As
There
well.
was two people doing it.
Take two to tango.
Yeah, and the cult. I mean, you read the cult. I mean, I'm just gonna read the actual complaints. So
Go ahead.
these. All right, you got failure failure to pay minimum wage, failure to pay overtime wages, failure to reimburse business expenses, failure to pay all wages upon separation, failure to furnish, I'm at the light, failure to furnish accurate, was it, wage statements.
Sound
uh
like she was in a barter situation where
yeah,
if you work with us,
unlawful,
yeah,
fraudulent personal practices. Then you get to the individual complaint. The first ones, those what I just read, were the class action complaint. Now the next one is the individual complaints against individual people. Sexual battery, hostile work environment, hostile work environment, hostile work environment, just against individuals, failure to prevent harassment, negligent supervision, firing and detention, and retaliation, wrongful termination. My thing is this, and it gonna probably sound like I'm saying, hey, well, if a woman gets raped, why she wait 30 years to say something? That's not what I'm doing. But she worked there for 12 years. You are and I'm not belittling people that do this, but you are a hairstylist and a barber. You can't go to another place to do hair if it's that bad.
In Hollywood.
Because yeah, if it's that bad, you can't go somewhere else.
You can't
And
take that resume while things
yeah,
are good. Right. And remember, ladies, for all of your comfort and round the house wear, lingerie, comfy clothes, make sure you visit quickvisits.com. That's QUIKVISITS.com for all of your lounge wear, lingerie wear, sport wear, workout wear, athletic wear. Make sure you go to quickvisits.com. They'll be there for you, and you'll love that, I tell you.
the women that I know, all the women I know, if something like that was going on at work, they would either beat down the door at HR, and she did go to HR multiple times, and if nothing was done, they would go to EEOC. You go to the federal, you go to take it to the federal level, go to EEOC,
I think she went to the
or
OC. She got fired in August.
yeah, she didn't go to EEOC, or
Well, she
they
went
would
straight to an
quit.
attorney.
Yeah, yeah,
I
after
thought
she
I
got
thought I thought
fired.
the proper channels with that was to go to EEOC first.
Yeah,
I
that's where
thought
you go.
I thought the proper channels, private or public, was you got to go to EEOC. EEOC then says this is
This
nothing
is
we'll take in our
violation.
intake. Maybe they did,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they didn't. Then if they took it in the intake, there's a mediation process. Then if there's a mediation process, then if you don't come to an agreement, there's an investigation. And then in the investigation, they still should be doing the investigation right now. She got fired in August. So maybe she went to the EEOC and they turned it down, or it's just a public image place where you can go to an attorney and the attorney just wants to put it out in the media and it
It would be a
happens after.
shakedown of
Maybe,
Fox.
I don't know. I thought
It
the
would
proper
be
channels was EEOC first.
yeah. It would be it'll be a shakedown of Fox. Hey, you're gonna settle this case for X number of millions of dollars.
Right.
But it's and again, I'm not saying that none of this happened. I don't know, but the allegation, but that people. My thing is everybody's been jumping on. Joy did this. Joy did that, and this that
That's
and
people.
yeah, it's allegations. This is somebody saying this is what happened, but the other side, nobody's filed an answer or anything yet. So you can't take, oh man, this is what happened. Like just like you see rape allegations, and then next thing you know, oh man, yeah, he did this. Yeah, he need to be tarred and feathered. Then you later on after the investigation, you find out that she lied.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I mean, so my thing is everyone needs to stop taking this and running with it like it's gospel.
Didn't
Cause
they didn't they do Emeka Adoka, whatever his name is, in Boston?
yeah,
Like social media, and we're part of social media, but social media is this new court system to where, okay, if I can throw this on the wall and get so many people who want clicks to believe
mm-hmm,
it and say and do all of these things, you'll run from it with money, and money makes you guilty.
yeah,
Settling makes you guilty. I
yeah.
If I'm
You can
Fox,
ruin you
I'm
ruin
taking it
people's
all the way.
lives. Yeah,
I'm taking it all
you,
the way.
yeah. If it's not true, yeah, we going to court. We're not settling because we Fox. We got billions. We can outlast you. Well, I
Yeah, I
mean,
last you.
good,
You know,
because what's
and
the
you probably won't
pressing
even
for
get that
it'll be
one
a
and a half
settlement,
million. Which
right?
Skip probably said 1,500 because women be adding zeros.
Hey, I mean, it's just
I don't
I
mean
don't
nothing by
like
that,
the
but y'all do. Something be happening. Y'all be embellishing the store.
yeah. If you read this, I'm telling you, everything that you've ever heard about harassment and everything at a job is in here. It's in here, and people have taken it and run with it overnight. That Joy did this, Joy did that.
Yeah, man, that's bad.
And I'm like, man, at least let it play out. At least wait until they file an answer, and because this is just one person telling the story right now. We don't know anything about anything. I can tell you anything about what happened, make it up, and until the other party responds, I got the floor. So the other party has to defend themselves because I've already thrown it out there, and everybody already jumped on my side anyway. It's just bad. Now, if all of these things or the majority of these things are true, yes, Fox itself has an awful
For the
culture.
convictions,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wait, because what it reminds me of is when the Washington Commanders, previously the Washington football team, at the time when this happened, the Washington Redskins, the culture that Daniel Snyder had going on there with all the harassment and all of that, and
Absolutely.
nothing was ever done, and the league had to step in. That's what this lawsuit reads like.
And you also have LA Clippers.
Yeah.
League had to step in. You know,
Carolina
that was racial.
Panthers. Carolina Panthers.
Carolina Panthers, right. Carolina Panthers had that situation.
That's
So
what this reads like.
yeah, and like I said, I hope I'm just an innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
If the court say it happened, then create your jokes. But that's not the society we live in. That's not the internet
Yeah.
we're on right now. And I believe these attorneys, especially with sexual harassment cases, understand this and they know get out in front of it and embellish and hyperbolize the story to where there are enough people who have been victims for real, or there are enough people who know victims, or there are enough people who are upset that they didn't win when they didn't have all the credible sources of things that they were making allegations about, still upset, and they're going to get behind you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, like Michael Irvin was guilty. Thank God he was on camera.
Yep.
So that's just the world we're in. And then they take your history
Yeah.
and run
And
with it.
yeah, once you're found,
Your past.
and and once they find out, okay, this is false, that person goes on about their business. But you being a name, there's always somebody who's gonna be saying, yeah, but something had to happen. Otherwise, they wouldn't. Nobody would just make this up. Something had to happen.
The issue with that is the corporations
Yeah.
themselves don't want to attach themselves to the focus groups who, regardless, are going to still be upset and be standing outside your door picketing.
Yeah. I didn't do it. They admitted. They showed. They even admitted that it was
It's
false.
sad that an
Yeah.
allegation can be enough these days, man.
Yeah. And again, we're not saying that this did happen. We're not saying that it didn't happen. But what we are saying is let the process play out. Wait until you hear something from the other side. Wait until it gets mediated or goes to trial or something instead of just jumping on one person's side saying, yeah, they did it. That sounds like something they do. And you dragging people through the mud and you just going by what somebody said. It's not a she said, he said right now. It's just a she said because nobody else has said anything.
It reminds you of those old movies in Transylvania where people just burn you at the stake
Mm-hmm.
just because someone made an allegation. But at any rate, man, any last words, Tank?
Yeah, I got some. Give me a few. Uh, I've seen people talking about, and I've seen, in different sports groups I'm in and whatnot, hear people saying, hey, Mike Evans, his record is really not that impressive. Neither is Saquon's because they playing 17 games. Other guys played, these other guys had 16 games or whatever. My thing is this: if you set a record or do something, you did it within the confines of the era and rules that you were playing under. Because if we look at it this way, if you play 14 games in up until 78, the NFL season was 14 games, and you played 10 years, you played 140 games. It moved up to 16 games. If you played 10 years, you played 160 games. So you already got 20 games ahead of the guy who only played in 14 game season. Now you play 10 games, 10 years in 17 games. You got 170 games. You can't fault people for when they're playing. Because if that's the case, anybody who's set a record, who's played more than 14 games in the regular season, their record should be null and void also then, because the original season was 14. But the game and things change, and you have to accept that things have changed. People weren't throwing for 4,000 yards every damn season. Namath did it, and it didn't happen again until 78 when Dan Fouts did it. All those years before that, but Dan Fouts had 2 more games. So are you gonna nullify Dan Fouts for throwing 4,000 yards because he had 2 extra games? Are you gonna take away? Are you gonna say, well, Jim Brown was the original who had a 14-game season? Everybody else who came after, Walter did it. He played in 16-game seasons. So you can't do that. You can't take away what somebody's done just because they playing in a different era. We might not like it, and we might say, okay, it's easier or it's more advantageous for them to do it under the current rules, but that's sports. Every sport has had rules change. Every sport has had things done to spice it up or whatnot. Just enjoy the moment, accept that the guy did it, and he did it within his time frame, when the era that he played in, and appreciate it. Don't go trying to drink, because that's when you sound like get off my lawn guy. Well, when I was growing up, they didn't play but 8 regular season games, and he had 8, and so he averaged 100 yards a game. That's 800 yards. Nobody else averaged 100 yards. So that means my guy's the best. No, your guy was the best during his time. Don't try to invalidate other people's records or marks because they don't play under the same rules that was previously played under. Because I'm telling you now, 10 years from now, what they're playing under now is not going to be the same that they're playing under from now.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to expound on that with my last words. I just kind of have something similar to that era wise. I'm going to jump to the NBA. And recently, and congratulations to him, LeBron surpassed Michael Jordan for more 30-point games. And then, of course, just like Tank was saying, it's not a games thing, but more a seasons thing. Longevity has allowed him to surpass Michael Jordan, where Michael Jordan did it in so many games. And then something was brought to my attention with 50-point games.
Mm-hmm.
And then the argument changes for LeBron fans that, well, he doesn't score a lot, but he's the most prolific scorer or has the most points just past Kareem. So, which argument do you want? But my point in the whole 30-point, who's the GOAT, who's the greatest, is this. If you're a biblical person and you believe and you're spiritual and you believe in the story, this is nothing. This is about the story, and I'm not going off on anyone's religion, but it's the story. If you believe in this story, you understand that God is the Most High, right? And even God, who's probably said to be the world's most perfect being, created a man in his own image, that being Adam. And some even may say the Holy Trilogy would make Jesus, who's supposed to be God on earth, just as much as God's image on earth. Now, I'm using that analogy to say this, because I'm not getting religious here. But the greatest, and when you're going to call yourself the greatest, is you have people who pattern themselves after you. That's just a part of being great. So we know the main carbon copy, or said to be carbon copy, of Michael Jordan was Kobe. But we do know that Kobe, along with a lot of other MJ spores, patterned themselves after wanting to be like Mike. We also know that the NBA has since Jordan and while Jordan has since attempted to create themselves another Mike. We also know that the one that they're arguing with, the MJ and LeBron, cannot get out of Mike's shadow because he started his high school career wearing number 23. So my thing is, who's trying to be like you? You've been in the league 20 plus years. You've had a whole generation for us to see who's trying to be the next 6'9" high school point guard, 6'8", 200-some pounds, because the size is there. Point guard, come out of high school and shake up the world. Who is being the unselfish point guard? I'm all about team. I'm gonna marry my high school sweetheart, because the young dudes still around here sleeping with the strippers. The young dudes still around here, not patterning themselves after you by getting with a wife and being the family man that you are and doing all the things that you do. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying they're not emulating you, even from a lifestyle standpoint. And no one has your game. Now, someone may argue he's only one of one. Like Barry Sanders was only one of one. They haven't created another Barry Sanders because they're only one of one. But they created a lot of Emmets. They created a lot of every down backs, score a lot of touchdowns. LaDainian Tomlinson was another Emmett, and he said he wanted to be like Emmett. Well, you can't be like them. No. The greatest, the epitome, the apex, always has someone trying to be like them. So if no one's trying to be like you, if no one's trying to emulate you, you can't make yourself the EST. You can be great, but you can never be the greatest. That's just my take.
That was the mic. It just dropped.
Now, this has been not just another sports show, No Jazz, NOJASS. Make sure you follow us, subscribe on YouTube, No Jazz Show. Follow us on Facebook, befriend us, go to the No Jazz Show page, No Jazz Show on X, No Jazz Show on Instagram, No Jazz Show on TikTok. On Instagram is NOJ.A. Subscribe, share. We're going live soon. We're going to do it for you. We got some skits coming up because a lot of people went to Cancun. We're going to be doing a lot of things in the off season. Pick this thing up. We appreciate all of you, all the new subscribers that came this week. Thank you for joining us. And as we always do about this time, in the Dre Beat drops. Thanks. Salute the people.
Before I salute, this one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Shouts out to KD for using befriend.
Oh,
He said befriend us. Shouts out, KD.
do that family education to come.
Y'all have a good one.
Y'all have a good one. You just watched another episode of No Jazz. Follow us on YouTube at No Jazz Show. And make sure you hit us up on Twitter at No Jazz Show. Make sure you hit us up on Instagram at NOJ.A.S.S. Follow us on Facebook, on our Facebook page at No Jazz Show. All right? See you soon.